Hey folks! On January 12th, I am launching a free sew-along. I've actually done this for a few years now, introducing you to improv quilting one block at a time. This year, I'm doing things a little bit different. In the past, I've done weekly or monthly tutorials. This time, I'm doing 30 blocks in 30 days. My name is Cheryl Arkison, and I'm leading the Quilters Playcation Adventure Sewalong. It starts on January 12th. This video is all about prepping you for joining the adventure. First off, exactly what is the Quilters Playcation Adventure Sewalong? Well, Quilters Playcation is my online spot for all things play and quilting. You can check it out at www.quiltersplacation.com. I'll put the link in the description below so it's easy for you to find. We've had live classes there, I've got a blog and a newsletter that all come from Quilters Playcation. One of these days, I'm even going to have recorded classes hosted there too. So after this video, you can check it out, subscribe, and stay posted on what I do over there. Now, the Adventure Sew-Along is a series of live tutorials for various improv blocks. The blocks vary in theme and technique as we go along, but they're an excellent way to explore improv quilting, whether you're new to it or very used to the play. In 2022, I sewed 52 blocks with you. Those tutorials are all on Instagram. They're a bit hard to find, but they are there. You can always send me a note if you're looking for them, and I can help you out. In 2023, I made 10 blocks with you, all on the theme of a treasure hunt. In 2024, we sewed with rainbows as our theme for 49 blocks. You can catch both 2023 and 2024 on Instagram and on YouTube. I took 2025 off from the Adventure Sew-Along, but this year I'm back. Just a little something different though this time. Every day for 30 days, starting on January 12th, I will be hopping on Instagram Live to lead us through a simple graphic block. It will be a mix of improv and precision piecing. I'm going to be making my blocks to a set 12.5-inch square. So all together, those 30 blocks will make a wonderful lap size quilt at 60 by 72 inches. More importantly, it's going to be 30 days of daily play. It's just a little treat, just for us makers, just for us busy folks who need a little bit of time after the end of the holiday season to get us through the dark of winter. This is a treat just for us. None of the blocks are going to be complicated, so they shouldn't take more than just a few minutes or maybe 20. The lives might be a little bit longer because we know I'm a little bit chatty. But depending on how comfortable you are with the techniques, they could be very quick blocks for you to make. And know that there is no right or wrong. It's just an exploration, an experiment, and a development of your creative muscles. So I'm going to be going live every day at 2 p.m. Mountain. You can find me at Cheryl_Arkison. And then the recordings will be posted on YouTube afterwards, but still available on Instagram. So no matter where you are, you'll be able to find me. So if you make one resolution this year, let it be to play more. Give yourself that treat. You're going to need fabric, obviously, but I'm going to get into those details shortly. Let's go over the basics of what you need otherwise in terms of sewing supplies. Obviously, you'll need a sewing machine threaded with a neutral thread. Whether you use a 1/4-inch foot or not, that's entirely up to you and what your comfort level is. I always say with improv sewing, a consistent seam allowance is more important than a scant 1/4-inch. You will need a rotary cutter, a mat, and a 12.5-inch ruler. If you don't have a 12.5-inch ruler, this would be one I'd actually consider getting. If that's all you have, great. You have all the things you need. If you have a million other rulers, use and play as you choose along the way. Number 3, a good pair of scissors. We may or may not be using these to cut some of our blocks along the way, or some of the parts of our blocks along the way. So it's always good to have a good pair of scissors on hand. And then finally, a sense of adventure. It's absolutely necessary for this. One of the things about improv quilting that people find scary is not knowing what to expect. Personally, I find that kind of exhilarating. It's really exciting to see where things could go and might go, and being open to that adventure. But as a teacher for many, many years, I understand the fear. I've seen it a lot in students. When you don't know what to expect, it can be frightening and hard to get excited about what's coming. Indeed, the way that I define improv, just to help you out in this whole process, is starting without knowing where you're going to end up. We're going to embrace the process. That's the important part. To that end, I have not designed all of the blocks for this sew-along. Sure, I have many, many sketches. I could pull from all of them and get all 30 blocks for this, but I like to leave things flexible. I might get inspired by something I see on a morning walk or world events that day. I might decide that the block that I had planned doesn't actually look good next to the one previous. I may decide that the technique isn't working all that well, or isn't as easy as I want it to be for all of you folks. So I can't necessarily show you a picture of what we will be making. It's all about embracing the process. But it's okay, because I'm here to guide you the whole way. But before we go any further, look over my shoulder. There's a little sneak peek of what we're making. Those are the first 2 blocks. There we go. Those are the first 2 blocks that we're going to be making for this adventure sew-along. So just to give you a little bit of an idea of what's coming there. And they are a mix of improv and precision piecing, like I said. The other thing I want you to remember is that you don't actually have to turn these blocks into a quilt. You could just make them because you want to make them and they were a fun exploration, and you put them aside and never touch them again, and that's perfectly okay. The other thing is you don't have to actually sew. You could just come, watch the videos, hang out, and enjoy that and learn by osmosis. It's okay if you don't sew. It's totally cool, and I'm here for that as well. Okay, if you are gonna sew, you are planning to sew, let's talk fabric. I'm going to, like I have done with all of my sew-alongs in the past, I'm going to be making 2 versions of this project, this quilt, this playtime, whatever you want to call it. The first one is that sneak peek you see above there. What I'm doing for that is I am using some made fabric from scraps, or a slab as we call it, paired with a neutral solid. In this case, this is Kona Snow, I'm pretty sure. I don't have it written down on there, but I'm pretty sure it's Kona Snow. So those 2 things are combining to make one version. The other version, which I think would be a really interesting version, not just for me, but for anybody else out there, is just 2 fabrics. That's it. We're going to make all the blocks with just 2 fabrics. In my case, I've gone for a tone on tone. There is contrast, but they're in the same family of colors. So whether it's 2 greens, 2 turquoises, 2 blues, 2 grays, whatever you want, I've gone with these. So I have, this is a chambray from Tilda Quilts. It's called Warm Yellow, if you're interested in that. And then this is a Fabulism woven. I don't know if the texture comes across in the video or not, but it has a really interesting texture. And I think these 2 fabrics together are going to look just gorgeous. Now, I'll be honest with you, that's way out of my comfort zone. The first version, totally in my comfort zone. This, way out of my comfort zone. To be so minimal in having only 2 fabrics there, and these colors are not my norm at all. But if I'm here to encourage you to challenge yourself, then so shall I. Okay, What if that doesn't float your boat? I don't want to do tone on tone. I don't like these scraps and everything. Here's a couple of other ideas. You can go high contrast for your two fabrics, black and white, blue and yellow. You could go Christmas colors. Anything really sort of high contrast for your two fabrics could be really, really interesting instead of that tone on tone view. You could take a bundle of your favorite designer's fabric. Maybe you have a huge collection of Ruby Star or Denise Schmidt or Tilda or something, and you think, oh, I've never known what to do with this. Now's the time to do it. The blocks are all going to be very graphic in nature, and so they're going to really benefit, or not, they're going to benefit your fabric is what they're going to do. They're really going to show off your fabric. So this is a good time to use those. You can also pick your own, curate your own little bundle of fabric. In my case with this bundle, I had this great print, really large scale print. I think I bought it to make a skirt years ago and never did. So I have a few meters of this. And what I did is, because I just loved the colors in it, I picked a bundle out of my stash with the colors from that fabric. Whether this one makes it into here, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I pair these with a different sort of neutral background. Who knows? But it's another way to go, that you could just create your color story and use all the fabrics throughout the quilt along the way. You could also use scraps, right? The final layout of the quilt, if you kind of go from day 1 to day 30, will be 5 blocks by 6 blocks. So you could have the top row be red, and then the next row be oranges, and then yellow and green and blue and purple, and create a rainbow. You could go completely wild and crazy, and every block is different and fun. That's the joy. Anything goes in this entire process. Be open to exploring your ideas. If you get a few blocks in and decide you don't like the colors, so be it. Change your mind. Right? Make new blocks, don't use those blocks, adapt. Always adapt when we're doing improv, because we're starting without knowing where we're going to end up. So we're going to have fun and embrace the process and see where we go. So how much fabric do you actually need? It's a little bit hard always to tell people how much you need when you're doing improv work, but I have done some math for you. Taken a little bit of the guesswork out, especially if you're going to use only 2 fabrics. You want to make sure that you have enough, but not too much left over. But I'm going to tell you this, I've built in wiggle room with the fabric discussions here. So if you're going to use 2 fabrics, you're going to need roughly 2 yards of each, or for my Canadian and metric folks, that's 1.75 meters. This should give you lots of extras in case you make mistakes or change your mind, or you just want to make your blocks a little bit bigger or have the wiggle room, not worrying about how much fabric you're going to have. If you're going to do something like a curated bundle or a fat quarter collection, you need basically 16 fat quarters in total. Or if you want to use the collection with a neutral background, you're going to need 8 fat quarters with 2 yards or 1.75 meters of a neutral. Don't worry, I'm going to put a graphic on the screen shortly, and that'll help you out. You can just screenshot it, and then you'll know how much you need. Now, if you're using a collection, whether it's fat quarters or something else, I would give yourself a little bit of wiggle room. So if I'm saying 8 fat quarters, I'd maybe have 10, just because when we cut improv, sometimes we're left with weird shapes and you might not have enough to do something else later on, depending on what the scraps are there. So give yourself some wiggle room. It's not a big deal. If you decide to use all scraps, fantastic. You know I'm going to be here for that. You've got a lot of options there. You're going to need a mix of bigger and smaller pieces, but none are going to be terribly that big. We are only making 12.5-inch blocks after all. So we can have a lot of fun playing with our scraps and seeing what we can have. But again, within each block, I would probably want to make sure that I have fabrics that give me contrast. So lights and darks, if we're working within the same color, that tonal that gives us contrast, our collection with a background. We want to have contrast between our motif on the block and the background. But we can have fun playing with that too. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, the last thing I want to say here about fabric before I put up that graphic for you is there's going to be trimmings and there are going to be leftovers, and that's totally fine. I think if you are very used to following a pattern and following directions, you hope and assume that the pattern designer has calculated what you need so that you don't have a ton of leftovers. I know the few times I've followed a pattern and I'm left with like a meter left at the end. I'm like, did you not do the math properly? It's hard for me to do the math exactly in this case. So know that you will have some leftovers, but I'd rather you have some leftovers than run out along the process. Keep in mind, we can put those leftovers in our scrap bins and they're great for us to use down the line. Or I would sometimes add those leftovers into a section that I piece on and use it on the back of the quilt so that I don't actually have leftovers and they're included within the quilt as a whole. So here is the handy graphic for you. Screenshot it, give you a discussion and understanding of how much of fabric you need depending on what sort of vision you have for how the quilt might go. Remember, it's just a vision. We'll see what happens because that's improv, starting without knowing where you're going to end up. But here's the fabric you need to start. Now, before I end this video, I want to give you a quick and dirty tutorial on how I'm using my solid scraps. Remember this piece that I showed you already? So this is a fast version of the slabs technique from my book, Sunday Morning Quilts, that I wrote with Amanda Jean Nyberg. It's got the technique in the book, so if you have it, you can grab it. But I also do teach entire workshops where we go into greater detail on color and value and the sewing technique as well as finishing. So drop me an email if you're interested in that workshop. But for today, I'm going to give you a quick demo of what I'm doing to prepare. I have this mountain of solid scraps. It would be easy enough to grab and sew, but I like to take a little time to prepare the fabric first because it does make the sewing go faster. entire point of the Quilters Playcation Adventure Sewalong is to play. It's to give yourself the time and the creativity to have fun at the sewing machine. Don't stress about having just the right amount of fabric or not knowing what you're going to end up with. You can trust me and trust the process I've created here for you. We're going to have fun together, I promise. It all starts January 12th at 2 p.m. Mountain. I'll be going live on Instagram. Find me at Cheryl_Arkeson, or watch the recordings here on YouTube. Thanks so much for joining me. We'll see you on the 12th. I'm looking forward to it. Let's make the time to play together.